Many animals are considered extinct, but what if some of them never really disappeared? In this video, we'll look at 6 species that are considered extinct, but for which evidence, sightings, or local reports tell a different story. Stay tuned until the end. The last species even has scientists puzzled and raises the question of how final extinction really is. Number 6. The Baiji. The Baiji was a river dolphin found exclusively in China's Yangtze River. For decades, its population declined due to overfishing, shipping traffic, industrial use, and increasing water pollution. In 2007, it was officially declared functionally extinct, meaning it was no longer biologically viable. Since then, however, new reports have been piling up. In 2016, a research team filmed a dolphin-like animal in the Yangtze. It was blurry but had distinctive features. Fishermen also regularly report sightings, often from sparsely populated sections of the river. The Yangtze is over 6,000 kilometers long and contains many remote tributaries and quiet zones. Comprehensive investigations are hardly possible. Some biologists suspect that a tiny remnant population has retreated into areas that are difficult to access. The Baiji has a highly developed echolocation system and may have learned to actively avoid noisy human-influenced areas. Even if the number of surviving animals were extremely low, these clues show just how uncertain the status of extinct can actually be in complex ecosystems. Number 5. The terror bird. The so-called terror birds were large, flightless predatory birds that lived in South America until about 2 million years ago. Fossils show that some species grew to over 3 meters tall with powerful beaks, muscular legs, and high running speeds. From Patagonia and neighboring regions, there are reports of large ostrich-like birds that cannot be classified. In 1970, cattle ranchers described an animal with a long neck, strong beak, and aggressive behavior, larger than any known bird in the region. Some paleontologists consider it possible that smaller species of terror birds survived longer than previously thought. South America's landscape is rich in remote valleys, dense forests, and hard-to-reach plateaus that are barely explored scientifically. Historical biological data from Chile and Argentina are also often incomplete or contradictory. In local traditions, there are repeated descriptions that match the known features of terror birds remarkably well from an anatomical perspective. Although modern bone finds are lacking, it wouldn't be the first time that an animal thought to be extinct was surprisingly rediscovered. Number 4. The Great Auk. The Great Auk was a flightless seabird of the North Atlantic, comparable to a penguin but more closely related to auks. It was heavily hunted in the 19th century and was considered extinct from 1844 onward. That was the year when the last known individuals were killed. But even after that, there were repeated sightings. Fishermen in Iceland and Canada reported seeing large, penguin-like birds behaving unusually. In 1932, a ship captain described an encounter with a giant auk-like bird northeast of Newfoundland. The Great Auk preferred hard-to-reach rocky islands and remote stretches of coastline, places that are still rarely monitored and often difficult to access today. It is conceivable that small colonies survived for some time, unnoticed by researchers. This is made more difficult by their resemblance to present-day seabirds such as guillemots or razorbills. Modern genetic analyses of museum specimens now make it possible to specifically search for traces of the species in environmental DNA. Even if a present-day population seems unlikely, these clues show how fluid the boundary between extinction and survival can be. Number 3. The Japanese spider crab. The Japanese spider crab is considered the largest known arthropod alive today. Its span from claw tip to claw tip can exceed 3 meters. It lives at depths of 200 to 600 meters off the coasts of Japan, mostly along steep continental slopes. There are repeated reports of even larger specimens, supposedly with a span of over 4 meters. In 2004, researchers found unusually large pieces of shell, the origin of which remains unclear to this day. Japan's marine regions are characterized by deep-sea trenches like the Nankai Trough, which are hardly accessible to conventional research. Since crustaceans can continue to grow throughout their lives, it is theoretically possible that especially old individuals reach extraordinary sizes. Sonar recordings have repeatedly detected unknown moving objects at great depths, a reason for new expeditions with robotic divers. Even if many reports seem exaggerated, the idea of mega crabs remains a real possibility in the barely explored frontier of marine biology. Number 2. The giant squid. For centuries, the giant squid was known only from washed-up carcasses. It was not until 2004 in Japan that the first live footage of a living specimen was captured. Today, it is known to live at depths of 300 to over 1,000 meters and can grow to more than 13 meters in length and even longer without its tentacles. However, some reports speak of significantly larger individuals with a total length of over 20 meters. These accounts come from fishermen, submarine crews, or deep-sea probes, and are often not clearly verifiable. The deep sea is one of the least explored areas of our planet. Over 80% have not yet been mapped. Many aspects of the life of Architeuthis remain unknown. Reproduction, diet, and behavior have so far only been partially documented. The existence of the colossal squid, Mesonicoteuthis, shows that the deep sea can harbor several giant species. Some scientists even analyze unusual wounds on sperm whales to draw conclusions about unidentified squids. The question remains, how big can a squid really get? And have we even seen the largest specimens yet? Number 1. The moa. The moas were giant, flightless running birds that were found exclusively in New Zealand. Some species reached over 3 meters in height and weighed several hundred kilograms. With the arrival of humans, especially the Maori, they were exterminated within a few centuries. But especially from the southern Fiordland, there are still reports to this day. In 1993, a hunter documented strange giant tracks in the damp ground. In 2007, biologists found several feathers that could not be assigned to any known bird species. New Zealand's terrain is rugged, craggy, and in some places extremely remote, with dense forests, high mountains, and hard-to-reach valleys. Many regions are barely explored, partly for conservation reasons. There are ecologists who suspect that certain plant species still point to an ecological niche that was once occupied by moas. Modern environmental DNA methods now make it possible to test soil traces or water samples for genetic remnants of long-extinct animals. There is still no proof, but the moa remains a symbol that nature has not yet revealed all its secrets.